Good evening, everybody. Once again, we meet again on Saturday, right? Sunday morning for you guys. Some of you guys, not everybody, and really late in the evenings for my friends over on the East Coast. Uh, so yeah, right now we're gonna be starting off really quickly here because there's quite a bit I want to get through, especially with Dendro and talks regarding Dendro. I've been talking with some people privately, most of which you guys don't know who they are, and some of which you guys know them very, very well. All right, so I've been talking with Sanzu. He has some theories about how Dendro may play out regarding a specific reaction with Electro, maybe, and I'm gonna do my best to kind of break that apart for you guys, and we can work on all sorts of different speculations. And listen, I would love to hear all your opinions. If you guys have crazy, wacky theories, or if you guys have seen people with crazy, wacky theories, don't hesitate to share them. I don't know if we can get through every single one of them, but would love to see what's going on, how this new potential element has gotten people really riled up. We have one account review today, so we're going to keep it nice, short, and sweet, maybe around 30 minutes or so, and then we'll move into the Dendro discussion. I really could not be more excited. I know it's still a couple patches away, and I know you guys, most of which are just waiting and just chilling, hoarding resources, waiting for new characters, and checking things out when they interest you. But thank you guys for tuning in today. All right, we got a lot to talk about. So let's start with the account review. The Flowcat says, Walrus, I made a Dendro speculation video if you want to watch it on stream, or if chat wants to check it out, has all my thoughts on it. Exactly. Later we'll start with that video. Flowcat. We'll start with that video, and then we'll work on that. We'll kind of like riff off that and get chat involved. All right, this is going to be a very interactive one, people. You guys better get your pens and papers out. Get ready to jot things down, and we can go back to certain points because I want to get a little nitty gritty with this. Before Mihoyo has their official release.
Just made it rain. EroticWalruss, I made a Dendro speculation video if you want to watch it on stream, or if chat wants to check it out. Has all my thoughts on it.
But first, let's start with this account review. All right. So the account, did I just see his name was something Wong? Let's see what's wrong. Let's see what's wrong with this. Is there really something wrong? So one moment here, we'll take chat off screen so we can see everything clearly. Okay. We got Yaimiko, Yunjin, Ito, Raiden Shogun. You see, there are a couple characters that I just see so many people having, and Raiden Shogun is, the numbers don't lie, right? Like, you guys know, this character had the highest sales number for her banner, and of course that includes Constellation. It really helped that her C1, C2 were so high in high value. That's why a lot of people have this character, and I think also in part why her sales were so good, like I was saying, is because of her Constellation. But I feel like 8 out of 10 accounts I review has this character. Most of which are built, but not to the point of, what she ideally needs to be to function well as a hyper carry. So that's something I want to look into. Ayaka is one of those characters I don't see a lot of. I don't see a lot of Ayaka, and especially since I see Ayaka and Ganyu and don't see Shenhe or Kokomi. You don't have Kazuha either. We'll see how you built these two characters. We'll see. That's also another contention. Got Hu Tao, but don't have Zhongli. That's unfortunate. Don't have Albedo either. You do have Sara. I'm interested to see how high your constellations for her are. Yamiko, and see if you built her. Ito, Goro, constellations. Let's see how all of these teams can, like, how all of these main carries and their supports play out on this account. What you've essentially invested your resources into. Not a light spender. Not a light spender either. Maybe constellations for some people. We'll look into that. And okay, haven't bought the BP yet, but maybe you will towards the end. Let's see. So you're currently using Xingqiu with Ayaka Smart Call with okay, you got a buffer and a shielder. I do feel like with Xingqiu's healing, Bennett's healing, Diona's healing, like there's too much going on here, to be honest. I'd much rather see Ganyu in this team. I'd rather have you take out Diona and have Ganyu instead for more damage layering, right? You can get a good taunt together as well. Do feel like there's a little too much healing going on with this team, but whatever. Let's start with Ayaka. 61 to 42. You're not running Blizzard Strayer? Are you not running Blizzard Strayer, or you are running Blizzard Strayer? I think that's overstacked for Blizzard Strayer. Hmm. Hmm. Stats aren't bad, but it makes sense, right? Like the second you see Ayaka in a double cryo team with running a freeze team with 61% crit rate, you know they're likely not running the Blizzard Strayer set. This is like, honestly, I can see this as a like a decent burst support set, but like Gladiator's Finale would ideally be replaced with Blizzard Strayer too. Yeah, like 2-piece Blizzard Strayer, 2-piece Noblesse Oblige. That's like your standard burst support Ayaka. It's fine, but you know, like you know what's likely the case is because they probably have some really cracked artifact. They have some pretty cracked artifact, don't they? You see, this is why. When people run into a situation like this, they think to themselves, what, like, how much resources do they have to pour in to get that additional Blizzard Strayer bonus to get the set, which has a triple crit rate rolled stat with like double attack percentage or something like that, something crazy like that. How are you going to replace this, right? At what point can you realistically justify burning, let's say, upwards of 15 to 20k worth of resin just to replace 2 pieces in a set that yields maybe, let's say, 5 to 10%, 10% more damage? Is it justified? Right? Are you struggling with content? I don't think so. Right? I don't think this person is struggling with content at all. 10, 10, 10. So at this point, you just got to look at it and be like, well, I guess. So we're gonna continue looking at their account to see if they're at the point where, hey, if you want any more gains, maybe go back to the domains. But so far, for most people, I don't think it's very viable at all. Unfortunate for some people when you're stuck in that predicament, right? 53, 150, 185 with the Skyward Blade. I don't think that's enough. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't think that's enough. I think there's going to be quite a bit of downtime with his burst skill. 20 seconds is not enough, is it? Maybe that's why you have Diona. What is your Diona running? Is your Diona running the Sack Sword or the Favonius? The Sack Sword. R2. I feel like it's not enough. Weapon of Ayaka is the Mist Splitter Reforged. So this is a very dedicated build for Ayaka, and like focusing around her burst skill. All the more reasons to have Ganyu on this team, to be honest with you. All the reasons to have Ganyu on this team instead of Diona. Artifact, are you running the 4-piece emblem with attack percentage? You can consider running energy regen here as well, to be honest with you. Running energy regen, especially if you're running the 4-piece emblem of Severed Fate, running energy recharge not only, especially because you're not running a sack sword. Do you have an R5 sack sword? You don't, right? That's why, that's the thing. You don't have it, so this is like the next best thing. I mean, this is the best option you have available to you, which I don't want to discourage you at all. But if that's the case, I would Oh, you see again the tricky situation. That's a triple crit damage roll, right? Is that triple? Like a low roll. It's still a triple roll though. See, I would suggest if you have energy recharge, like this one, use this one. Slap this on, for example, and then we'll look at the stats again. Something like this, right? The most important thing for Xingqiu is his burst uptime. When this character is just on your team, but his burst is not ready, not up, he is not doing much, essentially. There is some damage mitigation going on. He is helping in that avenue, like a little bit of healing too, right? But is that why you bring Xingqiu? No, right? You bring Xingqiu for his burst, and you want that burst up as often as possible. Camper Dog says, but my Raiden needs it. However, okay. I'm thinking, because I'm recalling to your teams, you're most likely running Raiden hyper carry, right? Or like some sort of Raiden national team. I don't think you are using your Raiden as a support. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So never mind. You can't do that. Your Raiden needs it, but just saying, it's great for Xingqiu as well. I don't know, like, tell me, how's your Xingqiu uptime? How is your Xingqiu uptime? I want to say it probably takes you like a couple skill cycles, maybe like 3 skills to get his burst back, which, you know, his elemental skill has a huge CD. 21 seconds. It's longer than his burst skill. It has the same duration, but it has a 1 second longer duration. Right? So that's, I think a lot of the times, I don't know if how much you care about the Abyss. If you got 36 star in the Abyss, then it literally doesn't matter, right? Okay, the guy has 36 stars, so it doesn't matter. It's almost enough, right? So even like, cause I know, because I run my Xingqiu with ER Sands along with R5 Sack Sword, and that's like around enough, right? That's around enough, and I believe I have my sword is like at level 70, so it's around like, it's like 200. Like, it's just a little bit north of 200. Like, and it's barely enough, but that's why I have Zhongli with the Favonius, and then it makes it good. But sometimes, if I don't time it right or whatever, I still have to wait like 2-3 seconds. So around like 220, 230 with the R5 Sack Sword, 220 R5 Sack Sword plus Zhongli Favonius Lance is gonna be the sweet spot. Perfect every time. You don't waste any stats. If you don't have Zhongli Favonius, you're probably aiming for like 230, around there. So that's why you need the energy recharge sands, I feel. But if you're clearing it 36 stars, what does it matter, right? What does it matter? We're just talking about like finessing and min-maxing things at this point. Talking about min-maxing, Bennett is one of those characters you can just slap whatever you want on. 184, I think that's around enough. Do you have that's your Bennett build? You're running energy recharge? Yeah, very good, very smart. When it comes to other stats, you're just looking for HP at this point, HP healing bonus. To be honest, sometimes I feel like this Bennett's probably like healing him for half, like what, like 7,000 per tick, something. How much does he heal, Camper Dog? On the top of your head, do you know how much this Bennett heals for? It must be something pretty crazy. Max HP, and he got the healing bonus. Like, is it like 7,000, 8,000 per tick? It's crazy. Yeah, it's a lot. Like, this guy's Bennett. Okay. What? You only have one Bennett? AR-56 though, bro. Whoa. Wait, I didn't expect that. It's not in shop. Oh, damn. This guy has C0 Bennett. C6, C0, C4. What's your Xiangling? C6. C6. This man has a C6 Sarah, but a C0 Bennett. How? Wow. C5 Yanfei. Oh, wow. It's a C3. C3 saw you. Come on, man. You just need one. Just need one. Damn. Just I guess at this point, just wait for the shop, right? You just need one. You just need one. Oh, damn. He has the same number of constellations for Bennett that he has for Amber. He has more constellations for Lisa than he. Wow, 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 wow. How's your Goro looking? Okay. So your Ito's let's see. Work in progress. Work in progress. Yamiko is look at that. R4 with Sith already up there. I can see you really do love the Electro Mommies, right? Electro Mommies. Let's take a look. 62.91, 23.8, 271.8. Pretty good stats, but I think for most people they're all aiming for crit damage at like around 150. That's where Raiden like takes off. But this guy has C2. Right? Camper Dog, how much is your Raiden use? Let's say no Sarah, right? Just Bennett, no Sarah. What is she critting for with her burst skill? Like with when you like, of course, assuming it's the her elemental skill is fully stacked. Like what around with Bennett is around like what 180, 200k around there, or maybe a little less. And then probably every hit afterwards is like close to 20k. I would assume, right? Yeah, 170k with Bennett. So with your C6 Sarah, that's like what? 300k? No. Almost 300, like 250k? Maybe not even that high. Like 240, 250 with C6 Sarah and Bennett. And then probably auto attacking for like 23k ish. Like you guys can see where the power is. If you guys see those showcases with like 500k, 230k. Okay, with C6 Sarah 230k and probably hitting for like 22k per charge attack. And auto attack is probably like 16, 17k ish, somewhere around there maybe. And that's for reference, people in chat who are looking. That's what like not a free to play, but a C2 Raiden with a free to play weapon can hit for, right? That's the numbers we're looking at with these artifacts, and I'm willing to say this person probably spent a good chunk of their time investing into I see got the attack goblet, really pushing the numbers here. Crit damage, crit rate. It's like people, if you look at these artifacts, you can quickly see like there is little room to continue to push their potential. This is pretty good. I would say she's functioning probably at like what 80%, 70 something percent, if it's like roughly. There's definitely room for improvement. I'm not gonna deny that, but realistically, like I said in the beginning, right? The same deal with Ayaka. How much more resin can you dump into this character to get more out of it? 30k charge attack. So damn, yeah, I was underestimating that. So this character here at C2, which is really good value. This constellation allows you to gain her resolve faster, which means you spend less time like stalling. You guys know what I mean? Because you want that first hit to hit as high as possible. So a lot of like C0 Raidens, they have to stall longer to build up that resolve to get that fat, juicy hit. The C1 pretty much rids you of that need to stall. Super, super great constellations. Did he crown her as well? So yeah, this is close to what most free-to-play, like not free-to-play, like what most people can even hope for. Even free-to-play players, when they first got Raiden, if you didn't pull for a single character since Raiden came out, you have a chance with the gems you saved up to get a C2 Raiden, right? And of course, so this is what you guys are looking at. If you guys are gonna sit here and tell me like, oh, his artifacts needs to be better, like, come on, stop the cap. This is as good as most players can get their artifacts. You might be a little lucky, you might get a little better, but you're not gonna suddenly be like, I'm gonna hit 500k with my free to play. No, you're not, right? You're not. With your R5 catch and your artifacts, even at C2, maybe even C3, you are not hitting 500k. If you see 500k Raidens, 1 million Raidens, those are not normal. I've had people DMing me saying, Walrus, my Raiden only hits for 120k. How do I hit 500k? And I'm like, do you spend money? They're like, no, I'm free to play. Do you have like C3? Like, no, mine is C0, right? Like, so I'm assuming you don't resin refresh to farm, right? It's like, nope, I just use whatever. Like, yeah, then you're doing great. 120k, that's fine. People have this insane expectation for Raiden. Like, why isn't my Raiden hitting for 500k damage and auto charge attacking for like 40k per hit? It's not possible. It's not real. Like, this is, I want to say free-to-play friendly, but I can't say it because of the constellations. So if we take away the C6 Sara, take away the constellations, you're looking probably at around like what? The high efficiency Raiden Shoguns are like 150k, I would say. That's like as high as a C0 R5 catch, insane cracked artifacts, talent level 10 Raiden Shogun can push with a Bennett. With the Bennett. I've had people tell me their Raiden at C0 can hit 300k. Like, fucking bull fucking shit, bro. Show me a clip of some casual Raiden C0 with the catch. Like, I've never seen one. I've only heard of these legendary stories of people saying their C0 Raidens are hitting north of 300k as a free-to-play with R5 catch. With no Sara, just their Bennett. I don't know. I really don't know. Right? And I keep running the numbers. I keep seeing like, and I even asked other Raiden players, especially look at what we're doing right here with this particular Raiden. This is like pretty good. So overall, if I were to say anything, there's really nothing much to say, right? Like if you really want to push the limits of this character more, just drown yourself in the emblem of Sever Fate domain and don't come out until your Raiden has 60 and 150. That's it. Tatsucloud says, my A has crit 444k on C2 with Engulfing Lightning. Yeah, Engulfing Lightning, people have told me, a Refinement 1 Engulfing Lightning does better than a Refinement 5 catch. So if you have the Engulfing Lightning, your ceiling can go up, but that's, you know, that's moving away from the realm of free-to-play territory, right? If you're having a C2 and you have her weapon, is your Raiden really still free-to-play? What I'm saying is people are saying C0 Raiden Shoguns can all hit 300k easy. Like they're saying like it's easy, it's no problem, everybody should be able to do it. That's why Raiden is like the best character, right? I don't think so. Iran Mariam NYG, thank you for Dono, says, I just want to say that I did listen to your advice adding Electro to my cryo team. I dumped Diona, like you said, added C6DI.
I just want to say that I did listen to your advice adding Electro to my cryo team. I dumped Diona like you said, added C6 Ye, so my team is Zhongli, Albedo, Shenhei and Ye. I'm enjoying Shenhei with Ye. Thank you.
See, that's a great team to see people like experimenting with, right? You got Zhongli, so that's like a physical DPS Zhongli with double Geo, so his shields is gonna be on forever, along with Yai's passive passive off-field, both for elemental damage as well as providing additional shields through Crystallize from Albedo, whatever that's worth. But that's still worth something, right? If your Zhongli is at C0, you don't have that shield cycling with the C2 Zhongli. So that additional Crystallized shield can help as well. Shenhe providing that physical shred along with Zhongli. A question, my friend, Ira Mariam. Does Shenhe's physical shred stack with Zhongli's physical shred? Do you know? Because and on top of that, you also have the superconduct. So essentially, your opponents are just butt ass naked in front of your Zhongli, right? That's what you got superconduct, and then you got Zhongli's shield shred, and then you got Shenhe shred. You're like, there is no physical resistance. What's physical resistance? There's no reason resistance shred shouldn't stack. Exactly. That's what I would assume, but you know MiHoYo, right? Like, the dev team have their ways of cucking us. These things are all hidden within like the metadata, and a lot of the times without thorough testing, it's very difficult to find out. But that does sound like a fun team to play. I don't know if you can 36 star the Abyss with that team, but like, I mean, he has a C6 Yai Miko. His Yai is ticking for like 30.
The Flowcat just made it rain.
Like
all sources
20...
of Fizz Shred Stack, Shinyan, Shenhe, Superconduct, C6 Rosaria.
Okay. I guess at one point you start getting diminishing returns, but it's good to know that they all stack. C6 Raiden's value, what's your opinion? I think once Raiden passes C3, her value in constellations does start to drop. Not to say her C6 is bad or not worth it. It's just, let's say after you get C3 Raiden and you have the money, it's probably better to go for some other high value, lower constellations, especially for mid-tier spenders. Let's say you're gonna use your entire year's worth of budget, on 2 characters or somewhat. Ride it at C3, so good. Anything more than that just feels like you're buying for love at that point, right? You're investing in her because you love this character and you want to see her at C6 as opposed to getting additional value out of her constellations. There's no more damage essentially. It's all quality of life. Look at this. Right, you're starting to add value back into the rest of your team, but honestly, in like a lot of Raiden hyper carry scenarios, yeah, you could throw some damage back to someone like a Sara, or your Xiangling. I guess you can amp up the damage of your team a little more, but I don't think at this point in the game you really need this anymore. And then of course C6. I don't think these constellations, at least in the current state of the game, are justified levels of utility or features. It's good to have, and if you love this character, go for it. Right, it's gonna help. It's gonna help with clearing content for sure. So, but I wouldn't recommend it. Stop at C3. Take the rest of your money, like around like $600-700 worth, right, and go invest it into maybe a C1 Hu Tao if you enjoy Hu Tao. You can do a C1 Kazuha, which is really good as well. A C1 Ganyu is also really good. So, and of course, if you have other characters, you can invest into their lower constellations. So just make sure you find a character who has a great C1 or C2, and you can dump it there. That's where the value truly is, I think. Unless you're a Giga Wheel, then most Giga Wheels won't need to ask me. Like, Sanzu doesn't come to me and be like, Walrus, what do you think of this character, C6? Doesn't, right? But for people who are curious, I think investing into lower constellations of more characters is better, as opposed to investing one character all the way to C6, because there will come a scenario where it's very difficult to use this character. Unless you have multiple C6 characters, it's ill-advised to keep all your eggs in one basket. Right? that's just it's what a lot of people give as advice over a lot of different areas, and it's no exception to a game like Genshin Impact where the abyss changes just out of the blue, and you're like, oh damn, I suddenly my C6 Raiden is really held back this time. But no, if you have a C3 Raiden, you have a C1 Ganyu, C1 Ayaka, C1 Kazuha, Mihoyo can't do shit to you. There's nothing they can do. Just make sure don't do like C1 everybody. Pick and choose a couple characters you really want to invest vertically. Iramariam says, honestly, I don't need to auto because my burst and skills stay up. I'm now working on reducing ER for more damage. The burst spam! The burst spam! The Q spam! Yo. Love to see it. Even though you have insane physical shred with that team. Alright. Let's continue with the account review. We got a couple more here, so we got to take a look at their Yaimiko. I think we'll stop at Yaimiko. Take a look at Hu Tao. Yaimiko.
Just made it rain. Honestly, I don't need to auto because my burst and skill stay up. I'm now working on reducing for more damage.
Great to see those teams. Truly great. Let's take a look at Ganyu, actually. Ganyu, Skyward Harp. Okay. Okay, Shimenawa Ganyu. I would imagine you're running, what's that called? Melt Ganyu, right? If you're running Shimenawas. 113, so got cryo damage. There's the thing, farming the Emblem of Severed Fate. A lot of characters can use the Shimenawas as like an alternative set. Yeah, you're not gonna get peak performance efficiencies, but at the end of the day, the difference makes up for it if the quality of the artifact is worth enough. This is another good character that can use this set is Hu Tao, right? Albeit it's I wouldn't say it's the best when it comes to peak efficiency, but most people, if you're already dumping the resin into Emblem of Severed Fate, you just run Shimenawas. You know what I mean? Just run Shimenawas for Ganyu, for Hu Tao. There's no need to go back to the Crimson Witch and go back to the Blizzard Strayer Domain, but I guess for your case, Blizzard Strayer might be worth it. I'm just saying, like, I'm just ballparking out here, right? Blizzard Strayer might be worth it. But then again, Ganyu, if you're playing Melt Ganyu, you're playing for Wanderer's Troop 4-piece for that more consistency. But if anything, you're going back to the Emblem of Severed Fate domain to maximize your Raiden. So what am I saying, right? What am I saying? Just go all the way. Just go all the way for Shimenawas. Take a look at the quality here. Not bad. But like, would love to see the 20-something% for crit damage, right? Once you get that quad or like high triple roll, like 21% crit damage or 24% crit damage, you know you're like really living life in Genshin. You know you're like shoving a big old middle finger up Mihoyo's doo-doo hole, because you've essentially escaped their RNG grip. Not bad. Like, you see, like, how are you going to replace these artifacts? To replace this set of artifacts, you're at least spending 10k resin. At least. This is like 10k resin minimum to replace this set. If you're lucky, maybe like 5 to 8. Maybe 8k you can replace this with like something the same. Just in Blizzard Strayer, for example, right? It's not worth it. How can I tell somebody to go do that? That's a waste of their time, essentially. Right? That's so RNG reliant. So in terms of that, it's fine. But just know in the future, there is room for improvement here. You can replace that with 1k artifact. That is, bro. If I can spend 1k resin.
NYG just made it rain. Yay is my first C65. Also her banner was brutal. I lost 50-50 every time, beware.
I think these characters like Yae Miko, these popularity characters, Mihoyo knows your people are like going hard on them. They're just gonna make it harder for people, right? I've never heard of anybody say they struggled on Tartaglia's rerun banner. Anybody who I've ever asked came across like, hey, so how was your Tartaglia banner? So I'm like, oh, it went great, bro. I literally got him back to back. Never lost 50-50. I didn't even want him in some cases, like myself. I was going for Rosaria on his like first rerun, and I ended up getting Tartaglia on the 17th pull, right? Hey, people aren't out here struggling getting Tartaglias, but trust me, Yae Miko's and the Raiden Shogun rerun, hey, you're gonna be busting a nut just trying to win 50-50s. Oh, bro. But yeah, dude, if somebody tells me all I need to spend is 1k resin to get this artifact set, Mihoyo's gonna have to drop a hot patch fix. Let's just put it that way. If you're spending 1,000 resin to get this entire set, expect a hot fix coming within the next 24 hours. If everyone is getting this in 1,000 resin, game server's gonna be down within the next 8 hours. Trust, 100%. Right? So, but I can see it happening in like 5k, 8k if you're lucky, 10k for like average luck, probably 15k plus if you're like struggling. So, let's take a look at your Hu Tao. You have a lot of these characters invested into these 77.9228 and a death match. Holy smokes, the raw stats. Shukai said, let's see how I do for my Raiden C2 then. Dude, I have to do my Raiden C2 as well.
Shukai, just made it rain. Okay. Let's see how you'll do for my Raiden C2 then. Anyway, good luck for all who's summoning next patch.
Bro. Fingers crossed for everybody hunting for Raiden constellations. Because you know C1 is not enough to justify it. C2 is where it's at. Hoyoverse now. That's right. Bro, speaking of Hoyoverse and their rebranding, have you guys seen the new Genshin ads? Like the ones like, wow, how did you get that much power? How did you level up so fast? I use blah 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 blah, and did you know if we go around finding chests, you can get additional rewards? What?
Illyrium NYG just made it rain. Hoyoverse now lol.
Bro, like literally, I was taking a doo-doo the other day and I was watching a YouTube video and that ad popped up and I could not believe my eyes. I could not believe my eyes. I never knew Mihoyo. Hoyoverse, a brand of quality, would stoop that low. Next thing you know, they're gonna be like, use the code XXYZ204 to get 2 fouls and 1 Primo Gem for every friend you invite to Genshin Impact. Jesus. You can get these awesome 4-star characters for free, such as Amber, Lisa, Kaya. Dude, get me the hell out of there. Get me out. Dude, holy smokes. I'll try to find it for you guys later so we can all watch it together. Dude, it's a pain, bro. It's a pain watching that, but it's so hilarious. It's so hilarious. Anyways, look at your Hu Tao is also Shimenawa. See? Makes sense, right? Because you probably spent like north of 10k resin on Shimenawa at this point. So close. I have one artifact in my entire arsenal of all the artifacts I've ever grinded that has surpassed 30% on crit damage. That's a good one. That's a great artifact. Oh wow. Oh my lord. Oh, running Elemental Mastery on Hu Tao. It's not bad. We talked about this before. It's not bad. It's why some people. I mean, it's also one of the reason why Albedo is ran in a lot of modern Hu Tao teams with Zhongli, with Xing Chu, because his burst with his talent too, I believe, gives a nice little boost to Elemental Mastery. It's fine. It's great. Damage bonus, especially since you don't have Staff of Homa, right? So you're not losing out on as much as people would have you believe. Great artifacts overall. Yeah, solid. You would wish that this was HP instead. Dude, I swear, if instead of it went to defense, it went into HP, and instead of getting defense, it get HP, I would say like this Hu Tao is nearing peak efficiency. Getting close. Getting close. So, overall, all right, let's take a look at your Yai Miko. 74 to 11.4 with your Wit Sith. Damn. Wait a minute. What's Yai's Ascension stat? Is it crit rate? That's an insane amount of crit rate for running crit damage and for running crit damage headpiece and crit damage weapon. It is crit rate, right? Like I off the top of my head, it has to be. Yeah, it has to be crit rate. Okay. Look at that. Look at pumping these crit rates out. That's like what? Quad? That's a 4 quad crit rate and double crit damage. Triple crit rate, double crit damage, and flat HP. Another, is that a quad? I think that's a quad crit rate. That's a quad crit rate. Oh, oh mamma mia! Oh, still double crit rate. Look at that. Crit damage and a still double crit rate. Oh, makes sense. You got so much dumped in crit rate. This Yai Miko is pretty solid overall, I would say. You're probably like, how much are you critting for with this one? With her burst skill, like with Bennett. If with your C6 Sara, probably like what? 70? Is it 70k per burst? Like the doom, doom, doom. Can you get up to 70k? Maybe like 50k? No, it has to be more than 50k. I think it's around 70k per, like at her peak. I think you'd have to, with C6 Sara and Bennett, maybe even higher. Camper Dog, what you critting for with this? Yeah, around 70k, right? Because even my C0 Yai Miko with like an R5 with Sith with much worse stats than this, she's hitting for around 45k. Yeah, 70k with Sara is very reasonable. So in total, you'll be hitting for 210, 230k with her burst skill. 230k with her burst skill, right? Not on the surface, sounds pretty damn good, right? Until you look at this, which is like a 22-second CD with a 90-second. Like, listen, chat. 90 cost is not the problem here. A lot of people say, oh, 90 cost burst. No. 90 cost burst isn't the problem. This is the problem. Oftentimes, you'll see Yai Miko have her burst back before the CD's done. This right here is the problem. If this was 18 seconds, she would feel so much better. You guys understand, just a 4-second decrease in her cooldown would feel so much better. But what do I know? Alright? What do I know? Oh, such wasted potential at C0. I think this character, they're just scared of her being too strong. So of course they locked a lot of that behind constellations as usual. But Yai Miko with constellations and without constellations is a different character. It's a very different character, potential-wise.
Who is the character you are currently farming for?
I'm currently farming for Raiden Shogun. I'm preparing my Raiden for her C2 Ascension. I have the R1 Engulfing Lightning already, so I really just need to get 2 copies of Raiden. Mine is sitting at C0. So really trying to hit that at least 130, like 60 crit rate, 130 to 140 crit damage mark with around 280 for energy recharge. That's like the goal I want to hit. And it's very tough. I've been farming for a good 2 weeks now, I would say. Still going for it. Not spending money to farm though. All right. So yeah, overall, I think this account's pretty solid. If we go back here, any characters you should look to pick up. I think Kokomi is a great pickup, but then again, neither your Ayaka nor your Ganyu is prepared to play freeze because you don't have the Blizzard Strayer, right? If you don't have the Blizzard Strayer, even if you pick up Kokomi, it's very difficult for these two to really shine. Of course, with you not having Shinhe as well. Potato says, so C6 Raiden fixes Yai's 22 second CD. Yeah, when you need another character's C6 to fix this character's kit, Mahoya's really scraping the bottom of the barrel there for milking whales. Camper Dog says, can you check my Ito? Let's take a look at your Ito. I would say Kazuha. Go for Kazuha, man. For this account, I think Kazuha is the way to go. Especially since you're running a lot of elemental based, right? You got this, you got cryo damage, electro, you got pyro, electro. Yeah. Go for a Kazuha. Kokomi's not going to help too much unless you want to transition into that kind of team comp. And with Kokomi, you don't have Shinhe, so you still need Kazuha, so why not just get Kazuha and wait for future Kokomi reruns? Kazuha is such high value. Ito, 80, 174, running the Serpent Spine. Oh, ooh. Not bad. I'd say you're doing good, but unfortunately, Ito with and without his weapon is a big difference. I've tested this myself. It's sad to say, but Ito's one of those characters where if you get his weapon, he feels much stronger. I know a lot of characters, like you guys probably like, oh, well, no shit, Walrus, right? It's made for them, but no. Zhongli's weapon. Right? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, now does it? But Ito's weapon is really, really good. No, all memes aside, Ito's weapon is really, really good. Not saying Serpent Spine is bad for him, but what are you hitting for this? The thing is, this weapon asks him to stay on field for quite a while, right? And if you guys read the 4-piece, a lot of the times when I play Ito is I don't let him start the fight immediately on the field because stacking this stuff is, it's a little awkward when he doesn't have his burst skill. He only has his Cal, so you can only get 1 stack with the Cal, and they gotta wait for his burst skill, which when he's not in his burst state, he's kind of just at best. He's underwhelming, right? He's underwhelming when he doesn't have his burst. So you want to get his burst. Then comes the problem of these two just don't complement each other. You see, like this one wants you to stay on field for a long time. This one, preferably for Ito, it's easier to stack when he's off field. So I just feel like and of course, whenever you're running him on field, if you don't take damage. If you take damage, well, hey, you know how that goes, right? If you take damage, kind of yikes. White Blind is pretty good. Do you have it? White Blind plays a much less risky style, more of a stat stick than this weapon per se. I'd say if you can get the White Blind to like an R5, go for the White Blind. It's a solid stat stick. It has great stat bonuses overall. For Ito, it's free to play friendly. You don't have to deal with the hassle of the Serpent Spine. Serpent Spine is probably better for a character like Eula, because think about it like this: Eula in her burst state is gonna stack this weapon, right? She has to stay on field in her burst state anyways. The problem with Eula is then she needs a shielder. Eula without a shielder running Serpent Spine, there's no realistic way you can fully utilize her kit, because you want to keep the stats up, but at the same time you want to be hitting for as much as you can when she's stacking her sword, right? But then if you get hit, you lose the stat, so that you have to get a shielder to protect her so she can ignore the BS and just keep hitting and stacking. A little more complicated, but definitely leans more towards characters like Eula, who needs to stay on field a little longer. Ito works as well, just a little more tricky. You got to play around it. Overall, I would say go for the white blind if you have 5 greatsword prototypes. It's a great weapon. All right, what can I say? With that said, really jealous of your C6 Sarah. Hopefully, I will be a C6 Sarah owner myself very soon. You got the fancy stuff. This guy has so many sets of emblems, don't you? Look at that. Look at this man. How many sets of emblem does one man have? Just got like 3, right? You got 3 full sets. Anyways, for people watching, definitely farm the emblem of Severed Fate. Definitely. Corporate Gaming says, Stonehorn is better than R5 Serpent. R1 Serpent Spine is better than R5 White Blind for damage, assuming 5 stacks on Serpent Spine. That's the thing, right? But I don't like the Serpent Spine because of the requirement for not taking damage. Can you really say you're not going to take damage at all during your playthrough of Ito ever when you're stacking? You cannot, right? Nobody can guarantee that. So, especially, this person doesn't have Zhongli. They have Goro, they have Ito, and they're probably going to have to run Noel as their 3rd Geo. Right? Can you say you're never going to take damage? And if you take damage, immediately. White blind is unconditional. There are no conditions. Right? That's why I think if you can get an R5 white blind, overall it's going to be an easier playing experience. Yes, your damage ceiling is going to be a little lower, but it's not going to differ by an incredibly noticeable amount. It's a great weapon overall for less hassle. Easier. All right. So we're going to be logging out here. We'll change to whoa. Did you guys see chat for a second just now? What is going on? Oh, it's chat is trying to catch up to oh my god. Wow, imagine if my chat actually moved that fast. How can I ever talk to you guys? Iramarium says, yeah, it's not bad. She's perfect for mobile devices, which I play on. I believe that the reason she is made that way. Oh, you believe that's the reason that she's made that way? You can take your time and domain clears are good. Yeah. Yai Mika overall, like...
Iramariram NYG just made it rain. Yay is not bad. She is perfect for mobile devices, which I play on. I believe that the reason she is made that way. You can take your time and domain clears are good.
I'll say Yai Mika overall is... she's... I wouldn't say she's bad. If the people who are saying she's like bad or terrible are, I think, going a little too far. It's kind of like saying... what's a good example I can give you? It's like if somebody comes and say, oh, Zhao is so bad. I don't think Zhao is bad. Zhao is, in a way, an incomplete character as of now. Any character that doesn't have their dedicated artifact set is considered, to me, an incomplete character. By that definition, Yamiko is an incomplete character right now. Zhao, till this day, is an incomplete character. And when we look at these characters, we should really think of them as potential. I think people shit on Yaimiko because they have expectations for her. It's the same situation with when they were shitting on Zhongli, Kokomi, all the same. People have expectations for these characters and they want them to be strong and they want them to be a certain way, and when they don't end up that way, people get upset, right? It's the circle of the Genshin experience. What can you say? Her E auto targeting on PC might be a little frustrating for some people, but for people on mobile, I'm sure it could be considered a saving grace, right? All right, people, it's time for us to dive into the discussion. Let's start with Flowcat's video. The Flowcat. People, what are your thoughts? Oh, wow, they added the YouTube Shorts here. Very nice, YouTube. Where is the... Where's the discussion video? Flowcat? Flowcat? Where's the Dendro? It's in my Let's Talk playlist. Oh, okay. Playlist? Let's talk. Let's talk. There it is.
The Flowcat just made it rain. It's in my Let's Talk playlist.
All right, chat. Let's watch this together and let's go over it. Share your opinions and thoughts. I'm gonna be really looking to chat, jumping off here. Let's see what's going on. Let's get this beautiful, beautiful man on our screen here. Let's make sure he's in full HD. All right. There you go.
Heyo YouTube, Flowcat here.
Hey,
and
Flowcat.
Today I'm going to be starting a new playlist on my channel. This playlist is going to be called Let's Talk Genshin Impact. And this playlist will include videos about speculations, theories of mine, or really anything that I want to talk about related to Genshin Impact. Obviously, these videos will be discussion oriented, so I would love to see your feedback and engage with you in the comments below. But with no further ado, smack that like button and let's get right into it.
Smack that like. He said it. Hey, he said it. Gotta do it. Gotta do it when he says it. All right, chat. Gotta do it when he says it.
Welcome to the video. And for the first video in this playlist, I'm going to be covering my Dendro speculations. Why Dendro speculations? Well, after doing a lot of team building and studying the elemental systems within Genshin, you kind of learn that it's sort of like physics. And using the knowledge that we already have in Genshin Impact, I believe it's entirely possible to show what Dendro will do when it releases as a playable element.
First things first. Talking about the relations to physics, right? So like we actually already know what Dendro and Pyro is going to be. It's burning. In fact, I believe that's the only one we know for sure what it's going to be. And before Flowcat says anything, and before you guys say like, "Oh, Walrus, you're just ripping off of Flowcat's ideas," let me just outline. For example, Hydro and Dendro seems like you're gonna grow something. It seems like you can build some sort of structure, and Mihoyo already has the coding and stuff for that with geostructures, right? So if you're able to plant like something and it evolves as you apply Hydro, and then there's like level 1, level 2, level 3, kind of like a Jin Yan shield type deal, level 1, level 2, level 3. The structure starts like this, and if you apply Hydro to it, you stack it, it becomes level 1 or level 2, and then you stack it again and it becomes level 3. And in the future, get this, right? Mihoyo can easily design constellations to limit break this, or oh, the structure you summon starts at level 2, or the structure you summon starts at level 3 and can overgrow to like level 4, in which it has new properties. For example, that's what I think Hydro and Dendro has great combinations for, and it introduces a new way to play around with structures in the game. Great. Honestly, I would love to see more structures. Right now, the geo structures, it feels kind of boring, and yeah, would love to see some sort of hydro, dendro structures. Call it whatever you want. Tree, photosynthesis, whatever, anything, right? We got burning, we got this. Here's the thing. Before we continue, Electro and Dendro, as highlighted by Mr. Sanzu River, is set to potentially be a defense shredding debuff. Hey, he said it, not me, and I think that makes a lot of sense, because I think if MiHoYo hammers home the idea of Electro and being the debuff element, basically a lot of Electro reactions are not going to be damage oriented, but like more support oriented. So that's going to be that. Apart from those two, I have no idea what the other ones are going to be, so let's continue.
Now, obviously, this is all speculation on my end. I have no way of proving exactly what Dendro will be like when it releases, but I very strongly believe that I'm either very close to being right or almost exactly right on my speculations. The point of getting this video out now is just so that I can do it ahead of the Dendro release and get my thoughts out early. One final note, I just wanted to mention that these videos will not be scripted. To be more genuine and authentic with my thoughts in these videos, to keep them more of like a discussion vibe, I've outlined this video as well as the points I'm going to make, and I'll try to be as concise as possible, but I just wanted to mention that. So, what does Dendro do? That is the question, isn't it? I'm sure many of you are aware that we already have some Dendro enemies in game, and some of those enemies are slimes. The big Dendro slimes have a number of different abilities that they can use, but some of those abilities will apply Dendro to your character.
You guys see that? Damage over time. Right now, there's
different abilities that they can use, but some.
I really think MiHoYo is gonna hammer home the damage over time thing, and how much you guys want to bet? Like it's gonna ignore shields. This mechanic is gonna ignore shields. It's gonna hit through your shield and it's gonna bleed you out, kind of like what's that thing called again? The wolves. Corrosion. Kind of like corrosion. Like corrosion is the first instance of damage over time MiHoYo has introduced, and I think they're gonna take it like way harder with Dendro.
Some of those abilities will apply Dendro to your character, causing you to lose HP consistently. For that reason, I believe that Dendro is going to have this as a base effect. Currently in-game, when Dendro is applied to you, this happens with no reactions, and I think we should expect a similar base effect for Dendro. This means that even without reactions, Dendro will likely have an effect similar to corrosion on the enemies. Now, in the testing of the video that I showed you with the Dendro slime is not regenerating HP, so this is not life steal, it's just life drain. I think likely this base effect will not crit, and will scale off of EM and unit level very similarly to Swirl. But now let's get into the really juicy stuff. What are the reactions going to be like? Over my many hours of thinking about this, I actually came up with a pretty simple way to explain it. I'm going to explain Dendro reaction using two meta teams.
He did say it cannot crit. Dendro by itself cannot crit. What about burning?
NYG just made it rain. Dendro could also have poison. They are already killing shield users in the game.
Dendro Archon would be lifesteal at C6. Lifesteal for your whole party. Imagine if Dendro Archon C6 lifesteal for your entire party and it's just like an upgraded version of Zhongli. But I think lifesteal for your whole party at C6 is kind of like not as impressive, because my Kokomi with her burst can lifesteal for my whole team, right? So Dendro could have poison. They are already killing shield users in the game. I want to focus on the fact that if Dendro already does damage over time, what's burning gonna do? Is burning going to amplify that and spread it further? Kind of like electro charge with the stuttering, right? There's good potential. There's good potential there.
Teams that I think Dendro will change dramatically. Freeze and Overload. But before we even talk about teams, let's learn how Freeze works as a reaction. Voiceover Flowcat here. This enemy has Hydro applied to him, so we're going to go ahead and freeze him, and now that he's standing on a platform of ice and not in the water, the Hydro element will slowly drain away from him, and he will unfreeze. That is, until the Cryo gives way from underneath him, and he touches the water again. You'll notice that the freeze will stay in place so long as the enemy is affected by both Hydro and Cryo, and the Cryo element covers up the Hydro element on the enemy. Now that we've discussed how freeze teams work, let's jump into the game and talk about team building and what Dendro will do for freeze teams. Alright, so here we are, and we're looking at one variation of a freeze team. You can build freeze teams in a variety of ways, but for the simplicity of this video, I'm just going to show two really common and popular methods of building a freeze team. The first of which is having one Hydro unit, two Cryo units, and an Anemo unit. The Hydro unit obviously does the Hydro application. The Cryo units are there for Cryo resonance, for the crit boosting, and for freeze. And then the Anemo unit is there to spread both elements and reduce resistances to amp damage. The next kind of freeze comp we're going to talk about is Hydro, Cryo, Cryo, Cryo. This is a style of freeze comp that's been really popularized by Shenhe's release. But the idea behind this comp is very simple. Apply Hydro, and then apply as much Cryo as possible to keep the enemies frozen at all times. So now let's talk about what will happen when we add Dendro to freeze teams. Note that I'll be using Traveler as the stand-in for the Dendro unit. So instead of the first team we were looking at, we might see something like this, again imagining that this is a Dendro unit. Now as we discussed, the base effect of Dendro is something that I expect to be like a life drain or a corrosion mechanic. But what exactly would the point of it be here? Well, knowing what we know about freeze and how it works so far, with Cryo protecting the Hydro aura, my prediction is that Dendro is going to go one layer deeper with the same concept. Essentially meaning that you'll start with Dendro, and then apply Hydro, and then apply Cryo, and the Cryo will protect both the Hydro and the Dendro. So in the traditional sense, there may not actually be a reaction for Dendro, Hydro, and Cryo at all. They may just simply stack with Cryo shielding both the elements. So when it comes to freeze...
Okay, we're gonna break that down a little bit. If I'm understanding this correctly, does this mean that Dendro's effect will be applied as damage over time while being shielded by the Cryo effect, and therefore extending the duration of the freeze duration as well as the Dendro ticking duration? Is that correct? Am I understanding that correct? Or when they say shielding, it just means that shielding from interruptions of other elemental reactions of other sorts. Will that is that a prediction for extension of reaction damage? Of reaction state, right? State of reaction. Which, if that's the case, it's an interesting proposition. But that would mean that Dendro doesn't have direct reactions with it, right? Is that correct? It would just protect the enemies from cleansing the Dendro. Okay, that makes sense. And here's another thing, though. If Dendro by itself is already poisoning the enemies, if you add any other reaction to it, for example, burning continues to tick damage, right? But what about other reactions? Would the Dendro poison effect always remain a constant, or will it reduce after
protect the enemies from cleansing
reactions?
The Dendro.
So, for example, Dendro Hydro. You already have Dendro, and then they're losing HP, losing HP, losing HP, and then bam, you hit them with the Hydro. Do they continue losing HP with Dendro, or do they take on the new effect of the reaction? Right? It's also interesting to think about it like that. But let's continue here, because as Flowcat has described, it would protect the enemies from cleansing the Dendro effect. So now you have them frozen and also taking their health down with Dendro, right? An additional source of damage, layering of additional damage. Dendro by default is an element that has a lot of off-field presence, because you can hit them with the Dendro and get the hell off the field. Right? We'll see.
comps in Dendro, I don't actually think that we are going to have a reaction. Instead, I think that permafreeze is going to get Dendro as a life drain option, so that while your enemies are permafrozen, you can start draining their HP. Sounds pretty good to me. We also might see rainbow comps become more popular with Dendro. In this case, we would have Hydro, Animo, Dendro, and Cryo. You'll notice by using Animo and Dendro in the same comp, we can have our VV shred as well as a potential life drain. The only thing we lose out on is the crit rate from Cryo Resonance. And this final freeze comp is also a rainbow comp. This will be Hydro, Cryo, Dendro, and Pyro. This may seem weird at first, but if Dendro, Hydro, and Cryo stack, then with Yoimiya, the first shot would melt, the second would vape, and the third would burn. Potentially
That's actually pretty insane if you think about it. But very complex as well, because of the way you layer the... It's because of the way you would layer the elements, right? And depending on which characters you use, for example, Sango no Miya Kokomi has great reapplication with her jellyfish, along with Ganyu has great reapplication with their burst skill. And depending on the Dendro character you would have, I guess burning itself would last longer, because vaporized, melt, these are both reactions that are instantaneous. Like, it just happens, and then you gotta, like with internal cooldown, you gotta do it again. But burning is an effect that is prolonged over a period of time. Interesting concept.
allowing you to do 3 different pyro reactions in one auto attack string. I see a lot of potential for solo pyro units with Dendro units, and then a Hydro and Cryo just to freeze the enemies in place, so that you can do all those reactions and burst the enemies down. Okay, so we're back from discussing what I think Dendro will do to the freeze meta.
NYG
As we
just made it
discussed, I
rain.
don't think
So Dendro we will be a debuff element.
That's right. That seems to be the consensus, because
The Flowcat just made it rain.
Yeah.
That's why Yoimiya's single target DPS is actually good in that situation. While they are all frozen taking damage over time, you can DPS one enemy at a time.
Yeah. So let's answer the one by one here. So yeah, Dendro will be a buff or debuff element. Seems to be the more popular theory here. Also with Sanzu, when I've talked to him, it seems like for the most part, he's very interested in its debuffing capabilities as opposed to seeing it be more damage-oriented. And even the damage-oriented side, I think Mihoyo's, like Flowcat has hinted at here, is shifting away from like the huge bursts of instantaneous damage and more focusing towards other ways to layer damage. Because right now, if you guys have noticed, when we deal damage, we're not struggling to deal big chunks of damage. We're struggling to layer more damage for our main DPS, for like on-field damage from off-field sources. And that's just my overly complicated way of saying support damage. We need more support, like ways for supports to deal damage. And I think designing an entire element who not only is able to provide great and powerful debuffs to enemies, but as well as tick damage over time and allow you the leisure to focus more on your big damage dealing as opposed to worry about how you can get more damage in, because Dendro solves that in of itself. And of course with burning, that's just an even more aggressive version. And my question then is, with burning, does burning itself apply pyro over and over again? Let me repeat that, because it's a very important detail here. If burning is an element that continuously reapplies pyro on the enemy, does that make Xiangling less good? Does that mean we have an entire new reaction to replace what Xiangling can already do? Chat? Alan Tulukan says, I don't think so, because burning stops naturally, right? That's, you see, that's my question. If a character, a unit is burning and then you hit him with a Tartaglia burst skill, does that cancel out their burning, or does the burning continue its duration until the very end? Hmm. Dr. Brad says that's an impossible proposition, Walrus, because we have an example of pyro damage that doesn't apply pyro. It's the red blood number of overload. Which, yeah, you might be right. So this is the thing, right? How burning interacts with other reactions, because burning itself is already a reaction. Does it like it's kind of like Flowcat has pointed to, like kind of like swirl, right? A reaction that can interact with other reactions. So burning in of itself is a reaction, but burning might, who knows, if it preserves Dendro and Pyro, or simply Pyro, how Mahoyod's going to alter, and then if you throw in like a melt or a vaporized reaction into it, how's that going to work out? That's something exciting that we should all be thinking about as well, right?
Going to react with these elements at all. Instead, I think it's just going to add life drain on top of the permafreeze mechanic that we already have. When it comes to Animo, it's unclear whether Dendro will react and swirl, but if I had to guess, I would say probably not. But enough of that, let's jump into Overload team comps so that we can discuss how Dendro might react with Electro and Pyro. But first, let's just chat a little bit about how Overload works in Genshin Impact. Voiceover Flowcat back once again. We're mostly used to Overload and how it throws enemies around, but one thing that's not talked about often is how Overload clears the elements from the field. As you can see, when I apply the Electro and then the Pyro, the elements vanish from the field. And the same thing happens if you do it in reverse. Now, applying a lot of Pyro, you can see it'll take multiple overloads to clear all of the Pyro from the enemy. Okay, and so now that we have an understanding of how Overload works, let's jump into the team building section and discuss what Dendro might do to Overload teams. Alright, here we are in the team building section. Up in front of us, I have an Overload team that I put together. This is a common composition for elements for Overload teams. You have one Hydro unit, two Electro units, and a Pyro unit. Another common composition for Overload teams is one Hydro unit, two Pyro units, and one Electro unit. You'll notice that there's less variation this time, and that's because the only way to make Overload viable in the meta is to stack it with another reaction, Vape. We looked at a little bit of footage earlier, but let's go into more detail now. These team compositions work because Electro and Hydro can exist simultaneously on an enemy. This means that when a Pyro unit attacks and the Pyro aura is applied, it reacts not just with the Electro aura, but also with the Hydro aura at the same time. This creates a simultaneous vaporize and overload reaction, commonly referred to as a vape-splode or an oversplode, or a super mega death bomb extraordinaire. Either way, it does a lot of damage and it's really effective. So how might Dendro affect these comps? First, let me explain the reaction sequence as I see it happening for Dendro and Electro. Remember that my Traveler is the Dendro element. First, we'll apply Dendro to the element, and then this will start the life drain mechanic. We can then swap over to our Electro unit and do an Electro attack, which will trigger a reaction, maybe have some kind of explosion or other kind of stagger effect. And then both elements will clear, leaving a Pyro aura on the enemy. I say this as making sense because trees can often light on fire when struck by lightning. So now that the enemy is left with a Pyro aura,
That's
you
true.
can attack once again
That's
with your
true.
Electro unit, dealing overload damage and clearing both the Electro and Pyro aura to leave the enemy completely blank of all auras. From this point, you can apply Dendro once again, rotate back to your Electro character, do the Dendro Electro reaction to leave Pyro on the enemy, do an overload reaction to clear it, and just keep repeating this until the end.
I'm gonna be completely honest. In theory, it sounds amazing, right? Like if this were the case, but how out of all the player base right now, like how many people even understands Vapelosion? Yes, I just made that up. How many people even fully understand how to properly function with Vapelosion, let alone adding a new element to this playstyle? I don't know how I wouldn't know how viable this playstyle would be. Like, let's hear Flowcat finish it and let's see the benefits of adding Dendro to Vapelosion.
Enemy is dead. The point of these comps would be to alternate between these two reactions as quickly as possible. Whatever the Dendro reaction is in Overload, you would be doing them back and forth as quickly as possible to try to deal reaction damage. I see this as adding a lot of potential damage to Electro teams, and also being pretty fun. But now let's talk about if we were to take this idea and add Hydro into the mix. What if we had Dendro, Hydro, and Electro? Based on my theory, you could apply the Dendro and then the Hydro, and they would coexist while the Dendro starts doing its life drain effect. And then applying Electro would do Electro Charge and this Dendro reaction at the same time. And since the Dendro Electro reaction clears the element into Pyro, which will then clear with the Hydro, you'll notice that this is very similar to the already existing Overload meta comps. Just instead of doing Vape and Overload, you were doing the Dendro reaction and Electro Charge. I think it's a very fitting way for it to work. And finally,
Wait, but wouldn't Vaplosion have higher damage potential? Because I find it difficult to see Dendro out damaging Vaporize as an option, unless there's some other properties of the Dendro element that it offers. For example, if it actually offers some sort of life drain in certain situations, I would prefer to have it over the Vaporize reaction. But in most cases, for people trying to clear content or trying to push for certain limits, I think Vaplosion would still be the preferred, unless you add the Vaplosion on top of or you add Dendro to the Vaplosion. Like you say, you start with Dendro, do Hydro, Electro, and then bam, Vaplosion. And while the Electro is cleared along with the Hydro, the Dendro remains. And if the Dendro and Electro has additional reaction, can cause mass. For example, if you go up with the Sanzu theory,
Vape and Melt will always be top tier meta DPS speedrun. It will always be that way. This will not flip the meta. Just a different way to play.
But like, you see, if we apply an Electro and Dendro reaction, this could be something new. Look at it like this, right? Remember when I said earlier that Sanzu has been talking about Electro and Dendro being some sort of overall defense reduction, like a debuff, so which reduces enemies' defense. Think about it like Raiden Shogun's C2, but like in reaction form. And imagine you have your Dendro, which has already spread, with your Hydro, with your Electro, and Vaplosion comes in with the Overload and then Vaporize, and then applies AoE defense shred, which allows for your next cycle of DPS, and then you reapply Hydro, you reapply Electro. Now they're all dealing more damage while the Dendro is continuously ticking. It sounds great in theory if that's how it works as a debuff. Right? And you see, exactly. If it shreds defense, I wonder if Overload would benefit from that a lot. That's what I'm thinking as well. These base reactions can benefit from this quite a bit. What do you think Dendro Elemental Resonance will be? Oh boy.
The Flowcat just made it rain.
Oh boy.
If it shreds defense, I wonder if Overload would benefit from that a lot.
So this is the thing, right? So going off of the first one, regarding the defense shred, this is why I think people may laugh at us and say like, oh, that's hella copium, but I think there's good potential that MiHoYo is trying to solve multiple avenues of the Electro element through Dendro-based reactions, and it doesn't just have to be Dendro-Electro reactions, right? So going to Kaedehara says, what do you think Dendro Elemental Resonance be? Ah, Dendro, right? I think Dendro Elemental Resonance could be something similar to a flat stat boost. Maybe a flat HP percentage boost, maybe a EM boost, I don't know. And on top of that, there might be some sort of thing that says like reduce damage over time. or something like that. Like it has two effects, right? One that gives you a nice good stat boost of some sort. The other one is like reduce the damage you take from damage, like dot damage, which is damage over time. Damage is reduced. So meaning once you're in the Dendro region, it's going to be nice for you to run a double Dendro team, because there's going to be a lot of traps or whatnot, or enemies that you run into that deals a lot of damage over time on you. And having double Dendro is going to help you mitigate that by a lot, which is a lot more comfortable, right? And maybe corrosion is going to get more prevalent and much more deadly in Sumeru, for example. And you can also reduce the harmfulness of corrosion by that. Maybe. That's off of the top of my head. That's what I think. Dendro might be more of a passive defensive resonance, which a lot of characters also scale off of HP, and some can scale off of EM. Maybe in the future there will be dedicated EM scaling characters, and like characters like Kazuha, right, could benefit from a double Dendro team if it scales off of EM or something like that. So a lot of stuff to think about, but I think it's not going to be offensive focused is the safest way to put it. Let's finish this video.
Because I know it's on everyone's mind and I haven't covered it yet. Geo. What is Dendro gonna do with Geo? I mean, really, I'm not sure. Likely, it'll just be another crystallized reaction, because Geo is exceptionally good at clearing elements from enemies. It would make sense that we'd be able to crystallize it like the other elements in the game, unless it functions like Animo does and doesn't interact with Geo at all.
No!
For this one, I think we'll just have to wait and see, but I really don't think it's as important as the other ones. So yeah, that's gonna wrap up my first Let's Talk Genshin Impact video. We talked about Dendro reactions and what I think Dendro is going to do for Genshin Impact. I think this is going to boost freeze and overload teams into a whole new kind of meta. We may even see new electro charge teams or other really fun ideas that I can't come up with right now. Anyway, I hope this made sense to you guys. I tried my best to make this as concise as possible and easy to understand. Comment down below and let me know what you think of my theory and what you think Dendro is going to do for Genshin Impact. Do you think it's going to make things better? Do you think it's going
to make things better for sure.
Tell me your thoughts.
It's going to make things better for sure.
Below. Make sure to subscribe if you're new and join my Discord, link in the description. We've got a super active, friendly community in there. I'd love to chat with you in my server. And as always, stay healthy, stay hydrated, peace.
Stay hydrated. That's something that I'm not, I'm not really doing right now. But yeah, okay, listen people. That's what I'm scared of. That's what I'm really scared of. If Dendro and Geo has no reaction, or it's like, I would be okay if it's crystallized, to be honest. But if it's crystallized, it's actually counterintuitive, because if you're trying to stack, damn, this is awkward. This is awkward, because Dendro, like we mentioned, is a damage over time element. So if while Dendro is doing its thing, you crystallize it, you remove it from the enemy, you're essentially helping the enemy. Then I guess in a way, you're exchanging offense for defense, right? You apply Dendro, it's a long-lasting application. It lasts on there for quite a while, so you can always use Geo to get a nice crystallized Dendro crystal shield. But I think for the most part, people want to focus more on the offensive than the defensive. So running Geo with Dendro, if that were the case, would just feel very counterintuitive. You almost would never run it, because you'd be like, literally, I don't want the shield. For example, you have Zhongli, right? You have Zhongli, you use your pillar, stabilize. You get your fat Zhongli shield, but the pillar pulsates with Geo, and now your Dendro is permanently going to get removed by the Zhongli pillar, which means you're just missing out on huge chunks of damage, even though you don't need the shield, right? So that could be a problem. I'm just saying, right? If that's the case, that could be a big problem. And if MiHoYo is going to be lazy and just say no reactions, they have no reactions with each other, zero, zip, all right, then I feel like it's a huge opportunity wasted. I think Anemo, Dendro, Geo, Dendro should have a reaction. And Crystallize should not remove Dendro from enemies. I'm just gonna say it. If the reaction with Geo Dendro is Crystallize, Dendro should be the only element that doesn't have its element removed from the enemies through Crystallize, because that would be so counterintuitive to the gameplay that Dendro is designed for. It should.
The Flowcat just made it rain. Geo and Dendro I think will be like Sandstorm teams, just kinda bad synergy.
Yeah. I would say Geo and Dendro don't need to be as prominent, because I think, like you mentioned, Flowcat, Freeze, Vaplosion, all these other variation teams are going to be more interesting to play, as well as even if Anemo is willing to, I guess Anemo and Dendro would just be swirled then, right? It's this, if Dendro and Geo is crystallized, Anemo, Dendro would be swirled. It wouldn't be any, like, you can't have it any other way. Can you? And one of the more discussed, I guess, when it comes to me, especially with Sanzu. I would love to have Sanzu on one day here, just so he can explain it to you guys. He explains it a lot better. He's worked it all out, and I've asked him a lot of questions, right? And Sanzu believes that if Electro and Dendro reaction somehow is enemy overall defense, like a percentage shred of their defense, it would make people who went for Raiden C2 and Yai C6, it will give less value to those constellations, because why would you need those constellations, especially depending on the amount that the Dendro Electro reaction is going to shred? You might be having diminishing returns, right? So for that reason alone, I was talking to not Dendro, I was talking to Sanzu and saying maybe MiHoYo's not going to do that, because if they do that, that's gonna be MiHoYo telling the whales or the people who have supported them, being like, hey, you know, maybe don't support us next time, right? Because we can easily screw you over with things like this. So overall, I do think there's great potential for Electro Dendro, but I don't think it's going to be as strong of a debuff as defense percentage shred. It might still be a debuff, but I'm hesitant. It might be a smaller, or it might be flat defense shred, which could work very well with C2 and C6, right? If it's flat defense shred and it's applied after Raiden's percentage defense ignore, that could be really good. But right, MiHoYo, if some nerd on the internet like me sitting behind the computer talking to chat can figure this out, do you think MiHoYo is really gonna give us that much value? Probably not. Large Banana says, if Dendro can be swirled, then when a Dendro Samatro applied it to me, I should be able to use Kazuha Burst to create a Dendro area swirl. But it doesn't. But Large Banana, here's the thing. MiHoYo hasn't fleshed out Dendro yet. Right? They haven't fully fleshed it out. Yeah, it's in the game. Yeah, there's burning, but I would say when Dendro really drops, burning is going to get revamped. Like, they're going to change how it works. They're going to change the skill, and they're going to change ways for you to interact with it and how it applies to you and enemies alike. Right? Right now, it's an incomplete version. Unless MiHoYo wants to be lazy. If you want to be lazy, like, oh, burning, you already have burning. I'll play with burning, and then I'll just like throw some stuff in. Like, oh, numbers, tuning, ha ha ha. They don't want to put too much thought behind it. Like, oh, you guys can figure it out. And if there's something wrong, we'll just retune it. I don't think they're going to do it like that, though. As much as modern MiHoYo MiHoYoverse Genshin commercials will have you believe that MiHoYo's kind of lost grip on reality a little bit here, I think they really care. They really want to do Dendro right. I mean, at least they really should do Dendro right. This is like the last copium chance they have to rebalance some of the game state regarding the elements. I'm not out here telling you guys, Electro is completely trash, but I'm just saying, compared to certain other elements, not all elements are built equal. And that's not right? That's they have the resource and the manpower to rebalance, recalibrate these elements and make them all feel great, make them all feel like they have a deserving place in the meta. Right now, Hydro, Cryo, Pyro, and even Geo, Nemo, they all have their dedicated usage. It's just Electro is this element where people's like, it's fun though, isn't it? Vaplosion is very fun, isn't it? Right? Yeah, it's fun, but I'm literally sacking efficiency for the sake of fun, and that shouldn't be a decision players are forced to make. It's not the hardest fix in the world. They cannot break the element by making it a little better. They won't break other elements by making Electro better. I think what they're really scared of is they already made Electro characters scale really well. Right? They made Electro characters scale, have some of the greatest scaling in the game. But of course, that's not to say other elements don't have great scaling, which is like I want to sit here and tell you guys that I'm completely happy with how MiHoYo has treated the Electro element, but I'm only somewhat content. Right? They have great scaling characters. They like Raiden Shogun being an Electro character has some of the best value constellations, but that's just like, that's just all temporary stuff MiHoYo's having us chase after. Overall, the element does sit in it's still an awkward place. In an awkward place. It's not bad per se because we got some really overpowered constellations on one Electro character. But come on, Dendro could be Electro's ticket, and if Dendro and Electro is defense percentage ignore or shred, right? Reduce enemy defense. Then characters like Kaching, characters like Razor, they suddenly have a much easier time with the damage ceiling. It's not going to change much though, right? Unless they if they fine tune the numbers, they could change a lot. So that means instead of a reaction damage, it's like a debuff that lasts for, let's say, 12-15 seconds, and in that window, all characters can benefit from it. That makes it not only Electro benefits from it, but you would prefer to have Electro on your team now, right? With Dendro, so you can buff up future. For example, you have a healer who is Dendro, and then you have like a Ganyu who's gonna apply not the Ganyu. What am I saying? If you have a healer who is Dendro, and then you have Fischl who is going to be dropping Oz, and then you apply that, and then you have like Floka was saying, this is like a good rainbow team, right? And then you have a Vaporize, or you have or you can play Melt Ganyu like this, I guess, right? So you can, right? It's making my brain hurt. Okay, then you have Xiangling and Ganyu. Yeah, you can play Melt Ganyu like this, right? So in a way, it could be incentivizing rainbow teams. So you're not using the resonance anymore. Instead, you're using the defense shred to power up other teams, which, yeah, that doesn't put Electro units into the spotlight, but it definitely gives them much more usage overall. Large Banana saying, a different question. We know for a fact that Dendro Abyss Mage will exist. Now, what do you think the element that will be most effective against this? Pyro again? Yeah, I think it's gonna be Pyro. Unlucky. It's gonna be Pyro for sure. I'm pretty, at this one, I'm 70% confident it's gonna be Pyro. Wheel says that make Electro Dendro similar to Superconduct. Yep, exactly. But then, you see, my question is, would that make Superconduct less utilized or even obsolete in some cases? I don't want that, right? I mean, MiHoYo probably doesn't want that either. having multiple debuff effects sourcing from one element could end up in a situation where one debuff is heavily preferred over the other, which, yeah, in a way you play the character more, but then like that reaction literally goes to waste. I guess which is the case right now with Crystallize. I've said in videos, if you guys watch my videos, I say this. Nobody plays Crystallize for the shield. Nobody builds teams around Crystallize reactions. Crystallize is always a byproduct of your team build. Like, oh, it just happens to have Crystallize, so be it. Whatever. I don't care, right? Oh, yeah, it's a bonus. But nobody actively builds teams to have Crystallize in them. You don't build Crystallize teams. Same as you don't build Superconduct teams. You build Superconduct for teams, for physical teams. Large Manat says, but it makes no sense though. There is no shield that is weakest to Electro. It makes sense that somehow Dendro will be that. And from this, we can assume reactions. But Large Manat, there are no... Yes, you're right. There are no elemental shield that is weakest to Electro. But Electro does decently against some of these shields. Like Pyro shields, Electro can deal with it. Hydro shields, Electro can deal with it. Cryo shields, Electro can deal with it, right? Electro can deal with all these shields fairly well. Sure, it's not like direct counters, but they can deal with them fairly well. And with Electro, I find that, especially with Keqing, she hits so frequent and so fast that most of these shields just evaporate on, like, through a couple skill rotations, right? That's what I've always felt with Electro. It's such a smack in the middle, such a smack in the middle element that, yeah, you want to say it's bad, but it's not really bad, but it's not really good. But at the same time, no, like, Geo is good, Hydro is good, Anemo is good, Cryo is good, Pyro is good. It's just Electro that's kind of mid. But when everything else is good, which makes good the average, the standard, right? And then you got this one sitting down here. Of course, this one is going to feel much worse, which is the case with Electro. And that's the phenomenon I'm trying to highlight for people. It's that when everything else is sitting at such a high standard, and if you're the only one that's lags behind, of course you're going to stand out. And that's what people are saying. Large Man says that the argument doesn't hold up because Pyro also good against some other element shield. Every element does, but only Electro doesn't have most powerful shield break for any element right now. You're right. You're right. I'm not saying that it's justified. I'm just saying overall, I haven't had an issue with Electro versus Abyss Heralds. And that's partially because I'm a Keqing main. And Keqing overall doesn't struggle against a lot of these elemental shields, with exceptions to Electro, obviously, right? Freaking Dead, any account review today? Yeah, we finished account review. We're just finishing off the stream here with Dendro discussions. Verdal360 says, I don't know if you have talked about, but what is your thought with the CN community conspiracy theory that Yoimiya and Yamiko is unfinished or something like that? Okay, if you guys want to...
The Flowcat just made it rain. I'm almost certain that Electro is the most effective element against Hydro. People just prefer Cryo BC of Freeze over DMG.
I haven't tested it, Flowcat, but I'm not sure. I just feel like Electro is fine against all of them. I haven't had any issues with Electro on the shield at all. But yeah, there's somebody who asked the question. You guys don't know, CN has a conspiracy situation going on right now where they're talking about the Hoyo has been releasing unfinished products, and in a way, they kind of messed up as well, because if you guys look at the schematics, yeah, I've seen the video, I've seen people talking about it. If you guys look at the schematics of the artifact set, I'll show you guys. You know, it's easier if I just show you guys. So, where's Yaimiko? So look at Yaimiko's outfit, right? This is one of the parts of the... Look at her outfit, look at the color scheme. People are saying Yaimiko was going to be released when Kokomi was released, along with the Shimenawa set. And people saying Yaimiko was originally designed as an on-hit main DPS with the Shimenawa set. People saying, look at this set's color scheme and design. Does that not fit Yaimiko? Does that not look like the dedicated Yaimiko set? Look at the color scheme, look at the design, right? This is part of the conspiracy. If you guys are interested, I can make a dedicated video talking about it, as this is quite rushed. But they're saying, like, you see with the paper, right? They're seeing Yaimiko's design and this guy. It feels like it was designed for Yaimiko, but why did Yaimiko not get released when back then, right? And that's, I think people are asking, is MiHoYo scared of making Yaimiko a dedicated main DPS? And you see when they released her, she ended up being some sort of weird off-field burst support thing, and it just makes people wonder why she wasn't designed a different way. And like in some cases, they're saying why Yaimiko's charge attack animation was so long as well. Everything just points to MiHoYo not wanting Electro on field to be to have a presence, essentially. And with the situation with Kokomi was that she was released without an artifact set. And if they released Yaimiko back when Kokomi was released and just gave Shimenawa to Yaimiko and then released Kokomi's artifact set a little later, and then right now when Yaimiko is release Kokomi instead, then then not only would Yaimiko have an artifact set on release, but Kokomi would already have her artifact set prepped for her when she comes out as well. God damn it. So overall, it just feels like either A, poor planning, or MiHoYo is really scared of something. Right? And the CN community essentially is just prodding at that phenomenon. And of course, in it, I believe they talk about how they believe MiHoYo has been kind of slacking as well when it comes. Look at that. Does that not look like Yaimiko's dedicated artifact set? That's what people are saying. Look at this. Look at this thing, right? So they're on purposely delaying Yaimiko, and even goes to the point of changing how she was originally designed. So they're saying Yaimiko probably was originally designed. Look at the Shimenawa set. Yaimiko was probably originally designed to be like an on-field main DPS type deal that relies on her normal and charge attack to deal damage. And this artifact set was essentially made for Yaimiko, right? Helping Yaimiko deal more damage. And of course, having Yaimiko's artifact with Raiden Shogun's artifact in the same domain also speaks to the parallel of their relationship with each other, being so close and all, right? There's a lot of dualities at play here, and I just feel, the CN community says they feel like MiHoYo really took a doo-doo trip, essentially, over this whole situation. Yai's new artifact set is, I feel like it's going to come out not in 2.6, but 2 patches after that, 2.8. There's a good chance we're going to get Yaimiko's artifact set, and if we don't, then we're probably going to get it in a year from now, like what happened to Zhao, like no cap. If they don't give it to her soon-ish, I just feel like it's going to take forever. Not this time, bitch. Oh, feels good. 3.0 could be when it drops. Like, Yaimiko's artifact could be dropping with a dedicated Dendro artifact set. That is an actual possibility. Jake Nguyen is asking, do you think it's time for MiHoYo to change the way they get beta tester and just hire some real professional? Because I feel quality of character is so up and down. Honestly, I've been saying that for a long time now. They have the resources and they can ease, and you see, this is gonna take care of two problems, right? One of the problem is leaks as well. Because where are all the leaks coming from? It's all coming from the beta testers. And I know there's a bit of leaks that comes from data miners, but most are from the beta testers. And people are risking a lot to release these leaks for players to see, right? And if they stop the open public testing for beta tests, it resolves these problems almost instantaneously. Like the vast majority of leaks, and MiHoYo being so outspoken against leaks and whatnot, the fact that they haven't done it, this is like a whole different oh my god. This is a whole different conspiracy, but I just feel like MiHoYo is really wanting the leaks. And this is exactly what I said way back when they first released their like anti-leaks thing. I was like, MiHoYo is probably like in on this. Like they want this. Wait, did I miss? Oh no. So that's what I was saying. And now it's pointed like, do they still care about leaks? As as long as the leakers don't make it so obvious, which in the point to like force MiHoYo's hand, they don't care. They just sit back and let the leakers do their thing and MiHoYo do their own thing, right? Live in peaceful harmony, essentially. And I think MiHoYo understands the importance of leaks as well. Even though they're not willing to do it themselves, they can easily do it themselves. Why don't they just tease it a little bit more? They know once the beta test starts, everybody knows it anyways. Why have it come from random people on the internet as opposed to just spending some time and effort and putting out some good teasers for the players for next patch characters? And I think it's just MiHoYo not want. It's like, oh, was that 100k crit just now? Do you guys see that? You guys saw that, right? Rewind that a little bit. On that little electro geometry or whatever they call it, there was 100k. $102K. C0 Ganyu, by the way. C0. While suing, these leakers are a source of income. Right? Think about it like this. The community was actually a little outraged at how MiHoYo took care of the previous leaker that got caught. You guys remember that? Like, I think MiHoYo sued him for like over 50k or something like that. And the person was like, I'm ruined. Like, my life is ruined. I can't do anything anymore. And he was like, I know what I did was wrong, but then like people were actually helping the leakers, right? So like, hey, you know, MiHoYo, you're going too far. Like, why go as far as ruining somebody's life over the fact that they spoiled some video game character? And I understand it from both perspectives. Hannah, come on. Good girl. I get it from both perspectives, right? It's just we have to understand that MiHoYo needs to make an example out of somebody. MiHoYo can't have a situation where leakers feel like they are in control. And I think it all comes down to face. I think MiHoYo, to a certain degree, wants to save face as well. Like, MiHoYo needs to show the other leakers that sure, you can work in the shadows, work your magic in your little communities, but don't step out of line. You step out of line, we're gonna get you. And I think MiHoYo won't bother to go after leakers. They won't go out of their ways to go they won't go out of their way to to catch leakers, but if leakers come to them, it's like a freebie. Yeah, they're gonna do it. One moment, let me check Discord. They're saying this ad. No, it's not this ad. I'll show you guys the ad. Actually,
The Flowcat just made it rain. Great stream, Walrus. I'ma go eat. I'm on Lost Ark doing yawn tonight. OMW to 800 eye level. CYA chat. Thanks for watching my video. C.
yeah, Flowcat. I'll help you with the Guardian raids later. Just afterwards. I'm gonna before I end stream, I'm gonna make sure chat cringes with me just one time. Cringe Genshin Impact ads. I'm pretty sure it's already like. Oh, this one. Found it. All right, chat. You guys ready? You guys ready? Let me show you guys some new. This is the new Genshin ad. Jeez.
I played Genshin Impact for 2 weeks
Wait, man, hold up. I don't even think his PS4 is on.
and got to level 15.
I played for 1 week and got to level 20.
I also played for 1 week and just hit level 30.
How did you level up so quickly?
I can't. Oh my god, this is.
Because I did this, 3 things. Because
His UI is not even on! Ah! Where's your UI, bro?
I did this, 3 things. Because I did this, 3 things. Because I did this, 3 things. Stamina is really important in Genshin Impact, no matter if you're exploring or fighting. So first, cook and consume more stamina saving food.
Who does that? Who does that? Who does that? Really? And why don't you tell people where you got the Barbatos Ratatouille? Alright? Alright? Where did you get that? You got that in Mondstadt, right? Like off of the cliff with this sister, right? What the hell, man? Who's going around mass producing this stuff nowadays? Like, I keep telling you guys, Genshin targets newbies. Genshin targets newbies.
To reduce stamina using while climbing, gliding, and sprinting. So you will be able to explore more areas with the same amount of stamina.
Wow, got it.
Oh, got it. Bro, you don't even have the recipe. You don't even have the recipe. What did you get? What did you get, bro?
Next, there are a lot of treasure chests scattered all over the Thailand. Each treasure chest can help you level up faster.
Got it.
Any more
Any more tips?
tips?
Sure, try to collect as many oculi as you can in order to increase the level of the statue level 7. This increases your max stamina.
Got it.
There are many tips for you to discover.
Got it. Look how far I got. Look. Woohoo! Yes!
Look how far I got. Woohoo! Yeah, bro.
Look how far I got. Look. Woohoo!
Oh man, you could tell he's been waiting to bust out that Mario impression. Yeah, and this lady can't even see his phone.
Now!
No. Bro, when I first saw that ad, I had to check the date because it had to be some April Fool's joke. That was horrendous. Horrendous. I want everybody to go and start spamming "got it" like as a meme. That has to be a meme in the community. Like, I don't know how people haven't like caught on with that. Got it. All right. Got it. Bro, that's going to be it for the That's going to be it for this stream. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me through it. Had a lot of fun. I hope to see you guys on next Wednesday's stream. As we get closer and closer, I'm actually getting a little nervous because I have to summon C2 Raiden Shogun, and I'm gonna start making videos praising Mihoyo. So if you guys see me like stroking Mihoyo's, you know what's up. I'm just earning some good karma. Got it. So I'll see you guys on Wednesday. I'm gonna go earn some good karma. I'm gonna go earn some good karma, so Mihoyo's like, let him win 150-50. Alright, we were planning to screw him both times, but let's give him one. Alright, people? Got it? I'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much. I love you guys. Have an amazing day. You guys, see you next time. Peace, peace.